Hey friends, we continue to monitor the events on the front lines of Ukraine and Russia as well as in news. Yesterday, in addition to the attack of 5 unmanned aerial vehicles on Moscow, it was reported in the evening about another drone that flew in a completely different trajectory towards the village of Tritsia in the Moscow region. It landed and it is not reported whether it was shot down or it crashed on its own. There is also no information about the explosive device that this drone could have carried. Meanwhile, please like and subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. On the front lines, there is another lull before the storm. The occupiers are in a defensive position, waiting for new counterattacks. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian forces are preparing the territory for liberation. And let's start with the Zaporizhia direction. Yesterday, an official statement was made that the Ukrainian forces advanced 2 kilometers, but no new offensive actions have been carried out yet. The Ukrainian forces are consolidating their new positions and conducting artillery preparation for further advancement. The Russians are actively conducting reconnaissance and noting that the Ukrainian forces are indeed preparing for powerful offensive. There were also reports of an explosion in the town of Tokmak today. There is also information circulating about the date and time of a possible explosion at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. However, most likely these are fake reports, although unfortunately such a threat does exist. The Ukrainian General Staff officially reports that possibility of provocations by the occupiers at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant in the near future. According to operational information, foreign objects resembling explosive devices were placed on the exterior of Units 3 and 4 of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Their detonation shouldn't damage the power units but may create an image of attacks from the Ukrainian side. This information is being reported by Russian media and Telegram channels. The armed forces of Ukraine adhere to the norms of international humanitarian law, monitor and control the situation, and are ready to act under any circumstance. No provocation by the enemy will go unnoticed. Moreover, in Energodar and Mariupol, Russian vehicles, specifically radiation control laboratories, have been detected. But that's not all. The Russians are actively using chemical weapons against the Ukrainian military. During artillery shelling, the Russians are using the chemical agent Luizid. The symptoms of poisoning include sickness, vomiting, and loss of consciousness. There are already victims of this chemical agent, as stated by the spokesperson for the defense forces of the Tavrizhsk direction, Oleksiy Dmitrashkivsky. Luizid is a derivative of the chemical element arsenic and is classified as a persistent toxic substance. Its use for military purposes was prohibited by the Chemical Weapons Convention in 1993. In the Vuhledar direction, the Russians continue to shell the entire front line, but no offensive actions are being conducted. They are trying to concentrate all their forces on defense, while the Ukrainian forces haven't launched any new attacks. The front line has remained unchanged in the past day. In the direction of Kherson, fighting and shelling continue. The Russians claim to be shelling the area around Antonivsky Bridge with FABs, which once again proves that the Ukrainian forces, contrary to Kontashenkov's statement, are holding their positions. Additionally, for the past 4 years, the Russians have been bombing the village of Zmiyivka in the Berislav district of Kherson region. There are no military personnel in the village, let alone anything significant. However, these inhuman acts of destroying the village are accompanied by loud claims in their propaganda that they have destroyed another ammunition depots. As seen in the photos, there are no ammunition depots there. In the Avdiivka direction, the Russians are actively shelling the front lines, but no offensive actions are being carried out. However, it is reported that a serious explosion occurred on the Russian side in the settlement of Yasetinovka. Further south in Mariinka, the Ukrainian armed forces are holding their positions and not retreating, despite the Russian fire from tanks and their attempts to use heavy equipment to approach the Ukrainian positions. This complicates the defense. Also, several explosions occurred in Donetsk yesterday evening. In slow-motion footage, it looks incredibly beautiful. It seems they managed to blow up another ammunition depot. President Volodymyr Zelensky held another meeting of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief's staff regarding the defense of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the situation on the front lines and domestic arms production. 2 hours were spent discussing the main challenges, the first one being the defense of the nuclear power plant. In addition, they discussed the situation on the front lines, after which the decision was made to reinforce the north. They also discussed further development of domestic production of equipment and ammunition, as well as accelerating the pace of repairing Western-made equipment. In the Bakhmut direction, there has been an increase in shelling, and the Russians have increased their forces. They are deploying more equipment and receiving a large quantity of ammunition to prevent the Ukrainian armed forces from advancing to encircle Bakhmut. In turn, the Ukrainian armed forces continue to rapid success on 2 flanks, but they are not reflected on the map yet, so we await official confirmation. We only have the spokesperson of the General Staff's words that the Ukrainian armed forces are making progress in the area of Klishivka. The situation remains stable in the Siversk area. Here the Russians are only shelling and not conducting offensive actions. In the Kremina area, the Russians continue shelling, but all attacks have ceased. The Ukrainian armed forces, on the other hand, continue artillery shelling of Russian positions and are destroying the enemy army, which they are actively reinforcing in this direction. In the Dvorichna and Svatovo areas, the occupiers continue shelling. However, the situation is maximally stable and no attacks are being carried out. And that's all for now. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye!